For those of us clutching our Wii U's, there is little to be excited about, especially when it was announced that Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild would not be released until 2017. The wait is quite frankly agonising. So in order to stave off that hunger for some more adventuring with Link, you could do a lot worse and play some other games while you wait just a little bit longer. Despite the success of the Legend of Zelda series, very few developers have dared to attempt their own versions of these classic adventures. However, some have, and I think you could do a lot worse than pick up and play these games that succeeded in translating the feel of Nintendo's much beloved games.
First up is Clover Studios' Okami. A beautifully crafted adventure through historical Japan, it has been highly regarded due to its beautiful Sumi-e-inspired cel-shaded visuals, an incredible soundtrack, an excellent narrative, and the celestial brush mechanic used to solve puzzles as well as to defeat enemies. This is simply a breathtaking title, and very few game experiences can match the beauty of galloping through this watercoloured interpretation of Japan. Over time you'll learn new techniques, collect new items and increase in power, allowing you to go back to previous areas and follow previously inaccessible paths and even find more useful items. Released almost a decade ago, this PS2 classic was ported to the original Nintendo Wii in 2008, introducing some superb motion controls, while in 2012 a hasty version arrived on the PlayStation 3, taking advantage of the PlayStation Move controller and further improving the visuals. Despite reportedly poor sales initially, a sequel was eventually released on the Nintendo DS in the form of Okami Den, although this wasn't quite as well received as the original game. No matter how you experience Amaterasu's adventure, this is a truly magical game that pushed boundaries in terms of visuals and mechanics. It's a classic, and there should be no excuse for not playing this game for yourself. If you liked Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, then this should definitely be up your street. Well, it's probably been a couple of months since I last mentioned Secret of Mana on this YouTube channel, so it's about time that I did so again. Of course, I did an entire video about how great this game is, so you should totally check that out. But why is this JRPG on this list? Well, it's an action-based JRPG, complete with hacking and slashing, puzzle solving and general adventuring that's more than a little similar to the Legend of Zelda's brand of questing, albeit with more numbers. For that reason alone, this game is a nice change of pace from your average JRPG, and it's not a bad way to transition between the action adventure of the Legend of Zelda series and the more tactical statistic based gameplay of JRPGs like Final Fantasy. It's a brilliant game in its own right, so forgive me for giving this title yet another well deserved mention. As well as the original SNES version, which is also available on the original Wii's Virtual Console service, this game has also found its way to Android and iOS devices in a slightly wonky but more than playable port. Want something a little dark, gritty and mature? Well, you could do a lot worse than Darksiders and its ambitious sequel. Set after the fall of mankind thanks to a preemptive apocalypse, these two games put you in the big boots of a horseman of the apocalypse, war and death respectively, as they battle all manner of forces to clear war's name over accusations of starting the end of all mankind as we know it. Featuring combo-based combat, Metroidvania-esque exploration and incredible enemy design, the now defunct Vigil Games created two games that in my opinion are two of the best releases of the last generation. The original title came out of nowhere and quickly gained a cult following through word of mouth and impressed all who played it with its very different take on what a Zelda-style game should be. Its sequel was a worthy follow-up, adding a greater emphasis on RPG-style loot and levelling. Both are excellent alternatives to Zelda and are well worth checking out, especially since they're very easy to get hold of. The original game can be found on PC, Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, while the sequel was also out on PC, Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, Wii U and an improved definitive edition on PC, Xbox One and PlayStation 4. Take a glance at a screenshot of Oceanhorn and two things spring to mind. One, that it's very rare for an iOS game to look so gorgeous, and two, this game bears more than a passing resemblance to the Wind Waker. But while it does take many cues from Link's seafaring adventure, Oceanhorn is a fantastic game that somehow translates the Zelda formula to a touchscreen device. It's an extremely polished game that plays like a classic Zelda game only with 3D graphics, but the gameplay feels very much like 2D entries such as Link to the Past, with a great soundtrack featuring tracks from Seiken Densetsu's Kenji Ito and Final Fantasy's Nobuo Uematsu, a ton of dungeons and islands to explore filled with puzzles and baddies to fight. It's also well worth checking out, especially as the game is already on iOS and Android devices, plus PC and Mac, and soon it will be coming to Xbox One and PlayStation 4 as well. Okay, so it's a little bit of a cop-out, but I bet we've all had a Zelda game that we haven't played in a while, never finished, or in some cases never even touched. So, if you've got a lot of time between now and next year, why not fill in those gaps? Maybe you've avoided some of the handheld Zelda titles like Link's Awakening and the Oracle series. It could be that you struggled to get past the slow early hours of Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword and just gave up. Now is your chance to give those games another shot. Hell, why not grab a Nintendo 3DS and play most of the Zelda games ever released via Virtual Console? Whether it's discovering a potential new favourite or rediscovering an old one, there are a lot of Zelda games out there and a lot of adventuring to be had.
That is quite a list of games to keep you occupied for the next year, and I would be incredibly impressed if you played and finished all of them. All of those titles offer a slightly different alternative to the Legend of Zelda formula, and all are definitely worth checking out if you haven't done so already. More importantly, that little list will keep you busy while you wait for the next instalment of the Zelda Legend. I really hope that you enjoyed this video and it's helped you discover some new games to play. If you did, why not tell me what games you found in the comments section? Are there any other games that you maybe recommend to other people? Why not let me know your suggestions as well? Thank you very much for watching, and I would really appreciate it if you took just a few minutes to check out all my other videos, or maybe even share this video with your friends on social media. Until next time, keep gaming positive.